Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everyone. So, we are here today to talk about what's happening in Sudan. I mean, to get an update. And we have here with us Sudanese people so we hear it from their mouths. We did a program a week ago or 10 days ago, a person who's an analyst on Horn of Africa. But this is important for us to hear it from Sudanese themselves so that we know what's happening in Sudan. I am here joined by Mr. Bashir El Khalifa from Khartoum and Mr. Yusuf Issa from South Africa. So Mr. Bashir El Khalifa is the director of Dreams Organization, and Mr. Yusuf Issa is an academician. He's economist based in South Africa. Welcome, my brothers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed, it's a pleasure. So the conflict in Sudan, since it has been more than 2 weeks since the war started, which is a civil war, it's a struggle for power. We have heard a lot from the mainstream media, as for what's happening, who is fighting who, but we did not hear that much from the people of Sudan, and that is the most important thing, to give, to have a voice and to know really from the root cause what's happening in Sudan. So for us as Connect Africa, as a Pan-African platform, it's important for us. We bring people from the place where the incident happened, whether it's a war or anything, so that we hear it from our African brothers and sisters, what's happening in the continent. Mr. Bashir, I will start with you. Just quickly tell us what's happening in your view, what's happening in Sudan right now. And I know that your organization, Dream Organization, has to do with helping people, so from the humanitarian point of view as well. Mr. Bashir. Did you hear me, Mr. Bashir? Maybe a connection problem. He was having a connection problem. I don't know if that is related to it. So I will go to Mr. Yusuf Issa. So tell us what's happening in Sudan. Point of view.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on your platform concerning about Africa and especially Sudanese problem in Sudan. The conflict which start is about 2 weeks ago between the Janjaweed and the military arms, which is starting that the Janjaweed, those problems we have there is they call it transition, or there is a peace agreement which was being hosted by the 4 countries: Emirates, Saudi Arabia, England, and America, and IGAD, and African Union. So Janjaweed has all that political issue agenda by the political party has been, the workshop has been finished. Only left the file of the security, which is going to be finished by the Janjaweed or the Janjaweed and the army. So when it comes, they failed to finish that file to join the Janjaweed army in the national army, which is going to be one army, Sudanese army. Suddenly, nobody knows what is going on So all the Sudanese who wake up, we find ourselves under fire. No one tell us, even the Burhan, the leader of the National Army of Sudanese, to tell how there is a public war. We don't know. Everybody blame the others. Janjaweed blame the army who is start attacking the Janjaweed. Himeti, the leader of the Janjaweed, who is blaming the army before starting attacking the Janjaweed. From point of most of the Sudanese, it is clear that issue between the Janjaweed and the army. Sudanese, as we are Sudanese nation, we don't know, has nothing to do with the war. Up to now, it's about 2 weeks ago, it's still the fighting is going on, and there is urgent call from the international community and from the African Union, IGAD, the Energy by IGAD, and all our neighbors to stop the war and to come to the peace, to talk on the table, to put the issue on the table and to discuss it. But they are not listening. The army is still bombing the Sudanese with the airplane. Who is bombing the Sudanese? Who is bombing the Sudanese? The army. Down on the ground, then the we. So we are Sudanese civilians. We have nothing to do with this war between two arms, Janjaweed and the National Army. Janjaweed, which is being legalized by the 2005 by the Bashir army, is part of the army. Janjaweed is part of the army. It is not a militia. It's not a militia. Both of them, the army and the Janjaweed, which there is our national, there is our the government 2019, if you heard about the revolution, the Sudanese revolution, which took the Bashir regime out, and you heard about it, there is about 1,000 or about more than 1,000 is being killed and thrown on the River Nile, which was protesting at the headquarter army in Sudan. No one even protects up to now. Both of them, they should be held responsibility for that. No one declared responsibility. It came to 2021. There is a transition government which was being President Hamdok.
Mm-hmm.
That government, which was the hope for all Sudanese. At least we are moving on. We have a transition government, so at least better than nothing. We move on. Then and the National Army, and there is the peace agreement in Juba for those rebellions in Darfur. They call it Juba Agreement. Was part of the transition government. The National Army and the Janjaweed, they come together and they stopped the revolution or stopped the transition government, and they took over. They bring us back again. The what you call it, the under control of the army. The army that took over again. Since that time, we still all are we are Sudanese. We are seeking for the peace agreement. We are seeking for the calling for democracy. That's how the conflict is still going on. The conflict between two arms. Each one declared he's the winner. Janjaweed, they said, okay, on the ground we are controlling everything. On the other side, the National Army said, yes, we're controlling everything. We are everything under control. But we don't, as we civilians, we don't know who believes. Up to now, the situation is very deteriorated in terms of economically, in terms of healthcare. The government have been bombed off there is about more than 30 hospitals being out of the service. People dying, is being killed. Each one blamed the others. Janjaweed, they said, no, we don't kill them. The National Army bombed them with the airplane. We are right now. There is a peace agreement which is initiated by Saudi Arabia and US for 3 days, for 74 hours, but no one commit to that peace agreement. It's still right now there is a fighting. Right now there is a bombing on the civilians. All the civilians we urge, because the loser, there is no one loser or winner. The loser is the winner. The loser is the loser. The winner also is the loser. No one from the conflict is the winner. They destroy the country. They kill the people. We are still under, we're calling for the peace agreement. We come together as Sudanese. We solve our problem in the house of the Sudanese.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf, for that. Indeed, I just want to highlight on two things that you said. The people of Sudan have nothing to do in this war between two generals. And then the second one is there's no winner in this conflict. The winner, I mean, whoever claims it is a loser as well. The loser is also a loser. And several truths has been initiated, but in the past, since the war started, but all of them, end up being breached, and really they don't commit to it, both sides. Now let's come back to Mr. Bashir. Mr. Bashir, hopefully you have heard what Mr. Yusuf have said. The people of Sudan have nothing to do in this war. It's a war between two generals for power. Do you share that view? And also, please tell us, as a director of Dreams organization, a kind of a charity organization, the humanitarian side of it, the situation of humanitarian in Sudan. Please, over to you. You are muted. Just a second. Now you were muted. You can start.
Hello?
We cannot hear you, Mr. Bashir. You are muted. I don't know. From my side, you are on. Maybe from your side. We cannot hear you. Maybe you muted your device somehow by mistake. No sound at all. That's it's a pity. We cannot hear you. No. Check your device, please. No sound. Can you try again? Mr. Bashir, try to log in again, please. If you can hear me, try to log in again. Maybe it will work. Go out and then come back. Yeah, he was having an internet problem. He's doing this from Khartoum, and there is a lot of connection problems. Yeah, but despite that, he managed to be here with us, which is really important for us to hear from the people in Sudan, to hear what's happening. Mm, until he comes back, maybe we continue, Mr. Yusuf, with you.
Welcome.
You have just touched upon, you are an economist by profession. What does it mean now? Sudan, has been in unrest, at unrest for the past, since the removal of President al-Bashir. Although you had for some time, there was a Prime Minister Hamdok, but still, it was there was unrest in the country. So uh, what does it mean economically for the country? How does this impact?
If you look at it, Bashir have been governor of Sudan for 30 years.
Hmm.
For 30 years. If you look at it at the times when, if you look at the war in southern Sudan, which was the war which was regionally, when the Bashir come, it became international like Islamic war. And then this comes happen again. There is a war in Darfur 2003. Until 1990, I think 97, there was international sanction on Sudan. It happened also in 2003. It is threatening the economically. It's being isolated from the international community because because you have been isolated completely from the national community, from international community, and our president is being wanted by the National Criminal Court.
Yeah.
In that times, opposition parties we calling for the president to step down, so at least so we can have hope of bring Sudan to the international community. But unfortunately, the army refused. Al Bashir said we never surrender until it was being thrown out by the by the Sudanese revolution 2019. And then we have a hope. Our Hamdok, the prime minister, there is we have transition government, peace of peace. Sudanese say, oh, that's good. We have a hope that we come back to the Sudanese will be back to the international community. And then we have a lot of debt, which I think about could be 60 something $1 billion with Bishad one, or some of them they have to be written off if we have a transition government. But unfortunately, that hope is gone because the army took up again the 20 in May, in October 2020. Up to now, economically, situation is very bad. There is inflation is over 300 times. We are short of food right now. The government, do you believe it? Sudan, which is expected to feed 10% of the world, they don't have national security food for 1 week. For 1 week. Lebanon, which is a city, Lebanon is a city, when they have earthquakes, they have a national food for 30 days. Sudan used to be the largest country in Africa. When they thrown al-Bashir out, he didn't leave national security food for the country for 1 week. We don't have even $1 million as a reserve as the national currency. The situation is, at this time now, it's out of control. It's a disaster. If these things happen, it's going on for 2 weeks. If it's going on maximum 2 weeks, we cry for Sudan. No more Sudan. The situation is going to be out of control. There is a lot of hospitals going out of the surface. People, they don't have food. because they depend producing day by day. Even the capital, they depend on the products or the food that's coming from the other state. The other state is the Khartoum is being isolated completely from the other states. Underground, 50%, 40%. Everybody as a mission, everybody claims we control 40%, we control 50%. But as we Sudanese, we never seen the national head of the army come down. Only we're speaking from the shade. We don't know where he's speaking from. He is the president of Sudan right now. He is the leader of the national army. We didn't see him. Only we see him on the day of Iftar, addressing the nation. Guys, come down. Everything is going to be under control. We feel sorry, as you said. We feel sorry. What happened? We feel sorry. But nothing on the ground. We need, as a Sudanese, we need peace agreement. Right now, the war should stop because there is no reason for the war. There is no reason. I don't have any reason. There is a war. If there is a war, why don't they see who support the Janjaweed? The army. Why they are not solve it on the political issue, sit on the table and solve it out? It's a conflict over the power. That's all. Conflict between two armies over the power. That's all. We don't have any tribalism or political problem. Our problem is the two leaders of the army, the Janjaweed and Burhan. Which the right country right now, Janjaweed, Himeti, he said clearly he is with the transition government. Completely want the army to get out of political atmosphere. The army must go for the army to do their jobs. Leave the political issue for the political parties. That's what Himeti calling for. But unfortunately, Burhan and there is other commanders of the army which they still believe and support al-Bashir must come back. Those controlling the national army against the transition government. They don't want democracy in Sudan. They don't want democracy in Sudan. That's why they start war to stop the peace agreement, which is the transition government to go on, which lead to the transition government, democracy in government in Sudan, so that progress in Sudan, peace in Sudan, development in Sudan. Sudan must go back to the international community. They don't want. I can say it clear. That's the point. Is each and every Sudanese knows the army, the national army, against the transition government. They don't want it. They want the power. As we are Sudanese, we thrown al-Bashir for 30 years. We never stop. We are still seeking for our demand peacefully for transition government. This war, as is mission, there is no one is a winner. The winner is a loser and the loser is a loser. Who is a loser is a country. Who is a loser? The civilians is underground, under control of the Janjaweed, which is being killed from the top, which is being bombed by the Sudanese National Army. I don't know. We have nothing to do with this war. If you want to stop it out, this war between two you over the power, don't solve it to take as a Sudanese as we are a shelter. We feel sorry. Our guys, we feel sorry. We don't want it to happen that. But what do you mean to feel sorry? You're killing, you're pumping us down. Janjaweed is attacking us. But right now, from this Pan-African, we urge international community to put pressure. We urge African leaders to put pressure on the two parties, on the two leaders, army leaders, to sit down, to come to conclusion, to stop the peace agreement. We come back, we need our transition government. That's what we need. According to the IGAD and the initiative, which is this mission is started by the Saudi Arabia and Emirates and Canada and US. That's what you are looking for. The war is going to finish. No matter whatever, the winner is the loser is going to be finished. The winner is going to play with the nation. If he is not commit for transition government, the winner is going to play with the Sudanese nation, which our aim peacefully, we're calling for transition government. We're calling for freedom of Sudanese.
Yeah.
We're calling for peace. We're calling for justice. That's all what we need. We need the army to get completely out of the political atmosphere, must focus on their job, which is being entitled by the constitution and by the law of the national army to protect the civilians, to protect the country.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf, for that. Hopefully the connection with Mr. Bashir is okay. I assume at least. Mr. Bashir, so I asked a question before. How do you view, what's happening in Sudan? We have heard from a lot of, mainstream media, mostly. But as a person who is experiencing it right now in Khartoum, what do you have to say? What do you want the world to know, the reality on the ground that you think is not told by other medias? And tell us also from the humanitarian point of view what's going on right now in Khartoum. Same problem, we cannot hear you. There's something that happened. It's really, really sad. It was working before we come in here, but I don't know why. We cannot hear you. So we cannot hear you, Mr. Bashir. That's really unfortunate. Did you mute yourself? Check just in case. Or if you are using any earphone or something, maybe take it out. Because in the beginning it worked when we were testing it. And I don't know what change you have made. Now we cannot hear you. Yeah. But just a second. I see here you are muted. Not from my side. You muted yourself. That's what I see. Please try to unmute yourself. I see you are muted. Can you talk now? Let's hear. Can you try? No, it's the same thing. Unfortunate. Yeah. While we are trying to fix that, I'm going to come back to Mr. Yusuf. It's something in your device in the setting. Perhaps you should check. I found it really strange. Yeah. Mr. Yusuf, I have a question for you from one of our viewers here. when you commented that right now Sudan don't have a reserve. Uh, Here is what Africa Reimagined is asking. Mm, where is the gold going? Where is the gold of Sudan is going? And then the second question is, at the time when President Al Bashir was overthrown, the GDP per capita in Sudan was 8,000 US dollar. Was there any economic problem which raised the grievances of the people? Yeah, you may reflect on that.
Even myself, I'm gonna ask, where is the gold? The gold, the leader of the Janjaweed, he is the big player of the gold. We don't see the gold. The gold has nothing. It doesn't come. Hello.
I am here. Please go on. I'm just putting the focus on you. Please, yeah, go on.
Okay. The gold is not reflect on the national budget. The national budget depends on tax collected and the duties from the civilians. Everything in Sudan is going up because the gold is not going through the systematically, officially channel to come to the national budget. There is a big bias who is controlling the gold. The leader of the Janjaweed and some others, some players from the old regime Al Bashir. Since the gold was being discovered, has we don't see any reflex of that on the Sudanese life. Regarding the economical issue since Al Bashir took over, we never seen any progress in terms of development or in terms of improving the life of Sudanese. We depend. If you look to before the Southern Sudan was being separate, there is a petrol which is contribute to the national budget. I think about between 5 to 7 trillion every year. But we never seen that because there was corrupted. Al Bashir regime system was corrupted systems. That's why the country is being collapsed. The training every year is going down. The economy is going down. The inflation is high. The life of people is all the people for crying for better life, not for better life, for the basic need of life. Electricity price is going up. The food price, the basket of the food is going up. No one afford to buy the basket of food. If you read, according to the International Organization Food Program, I think third of Sudanese, they don't have access to the food or to the to the healthy food. We can say the main basic food, which the country is expected to feed 10% of the world. The problem is because we have a corrupted system. The army is corrupted. Sudan has a huge diversity. We never ruled by one nation or you never ruled by one party. The army has been felt since, if you go back 1995 Nimeri and you come back to Al Bashir, the army has failed to run the country. That's why the people of Sudan have been died. The people of Sudan have been struggling. The people of Sudan have been standing up for their rights. They have to deserve better life. They deserve to rule themselves, to choose the one who is going to rule them. Can I tell you something? I'm 50 years old. I wish in my life to go to election to choose my president who is going to present me. in 50 years. I'm seeking up to now to go for to choose for election to happen in Sudan. And I hope before I die, I will have a chance to go for election to choose the one who's going to represent me. But I'm doubt it's not going to happen while those armies are still on the power. Maybe even the gold, other mission, the gold, and some others are like army industrial is not being on the budget. Hamdok, when he came in, the prime minister called Hager. He called them everything they have to be systematically to come to the national budget. And then from there, the same like what you happen in South Africa systematically, the army will take his percentage, education, discipline. Unfortunately, the army they don't want. That's why they took over again. We never have progress. We never have a development while the army is still controlling Sudan. We never have a progress. We never have a peace while we have two armies. We have two armies, Janjaweed and National Army.
Yeah.
Our life in danger. Our life in danger. If you go now in Sudan, everyone has a weapon. You don't know those the rebellion from Darfur, according to the peace agreement, with their armies and the soldiers that are in Sudan, in capital. Look, the capital. That means could be about most of them could be about 10,000. Janjaweed, he has 100,000 soldiers. Besides, there is a militia of the Islamists, Janjaweed, jihadists, those out of control of the system. Imagine, as a civilian, your life, anytime it happen without war. You can die for nothing. No one will investigate. Because each one is holding the power. The army, Janjaweed, for those disagreements, the rebellion, those have been fighting against al-Bashir in Darfur, which they came according to the Juba agreement. Their army should be joined directly in the national army because there is no budget. There is no budget that you can join that army in the national army. They don't have money. They're waiting for the international community. When President Prime Minister Hamdok was on, the international community promised that while there is a peace agreement, we can lend Sudan International Monetary Fund and other monetary funds and other friends. We give Sudan money that least can help themselves to come back, they help themselves for the peace agreement. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, the army took over 2020 in October. We're hoping now, we're urging, as I mentioned, the international community, and also South Africa has a big role to play. South Africa, we urge South Africa. The second economics in Africa has a big role to play in Sudan. We need that Rainbow Nation, we need that experience of South Africa to be implemented in Sudan. We need that experience of South Africa to go South Africans to take initiative to implement that experience in Sudan, to play a big role to bring peace agreement and to stop the war in Sudan right now.
We hear you. Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. Let's go. Let's try again, Mr. Bashir. Mr. Bashir.
Hey, how are you?
Very good.
So
wow,
you hear me
thank you.
this time?
We do hear you loud and clear. So you have heard the question. You can go straight to the answer.
Yeah, okay. First of all, we feel very sad for those innocent people who pass away or who died because of this war. I do agree with you that
We lost you. Are you there, Mr. Bashir? Perhaps you can put the video off and you can talk to us just by voice. We lost you for a few seconds. If it helps, you can put the
Yeah,
video off and you can talk.
okay, no problem. So you hear me
Go on.
now?
Yes.
You hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Uh, I'm in Khartoum now, and I don't know how to speak about the situation because I cannot describe it. It's something we can say it's a disaster. Actually, it's a disaster because people they are suffering a lot. Okay, I will speak concerning 13 points. For example, people that are staying at home, they are afraid from war. You cannot go out, you cannot find food, and the big problem is electricity. In some area or in some places, they might not have electricity for more than 5, 6, 7 days. Okay, and this is not only the problem. The problem is the system in Sudan here. Water is linked with electricity. So if you don't have electricity, that means you will not have water. So
Wow.
it will be a very big problem. And another things, uh, I'm speaking about food. Nowadays, as you know, the war is break suddenly without any kind of announcement or anything. So we get up early Saturday in the morning, we try to go to work, and we find this military in the street, and they start to fight against each other. And every one of them say, I'm not the person who start. We don't know who start. Anyhow, there is the reality, there is a war. Okay? Uh, After that, people they start to, because this is something new for them. War in middle of the city, in middle of Khartoum, and Sudanese people they don't like fighting. They like peace, and they are cute, and they don't they are try to avoid problem. This is something concerning them. But after this war start, people start to go back home, and they stay at home. So now finding food is a big problem. Why it's a big problem? Because you cannot go out. If you go out to buy stuffs, they will shoot you. So let's say that you succeed in going out in the night to find food for you. You will not find shop opens. Okay. If even you are lucky to find a shop opens with the stuff you need like oil, rice, and stuff like this, you will face another problem, the face of money. You don't have money. Okay. Here we used to use a kind of transfer for money through bank. It's a system in mobile, it's called Bangkok, and Sudanese they transfer money from here to there. So you don't need to take money with you, liquid money. And now the system is break down, so you cannot find money. So the owner of the shop, he will not give you if you don't have money. And also the prices of foodstuffs is double. So it's very hard to buy stuff, and it's very difficult to find money. So actually you cannot find food to survive. That's the problem. It's a very problem. So going to other sector, I'm speaking about health sector in this point. Most of hospitals are closed because to have a life, that means you must have like a cure or a medicine. This is something normal. In war, there's a lot of wounded people, and there are women who is gonna deliver during this time, and there are those who have cancer, and those who have a kidney problem, and so on. So If you go to the hospital, you will find it closed. If you find it, you are lucky and find it open, you will find the military there. When they come, they ask doctor to cure military and to forget about civilian, because this is not important now for them. The fighter is very important, okay? And doctors themselves, they are afraid because like we have an experience before 5 or 4 days, there was a doctor, he had been attacked and killed in the street. So most of doctors, they are afraid now to go out from home and to go to hospital because they are afraid that they might kill them, okay? You cannot find also medicine for diabetics and blood pressure problem. So anyhow, I don't know if I keep speaking the whole night, I cannot describe the situation here. But for me, because I work for organization and I know exactly what is it, I can say in a few words, it's a humanity disaster. So I can describe it like this because, and the thing is like this. Those two commanders, they want to go like this until they finish. One of them win and the other is lose. But during this time, they will kill everyone. So who will be responsible for this in the future? I know the history will decide who was good or bad. But now, every media, every person speak about humanity, speak about Burhan. It's okay. So those are commanders. They have their own mentality. But who speak about Sudanese? What we are gonna do for our people to avoid this problem? Now they are suffering. A lot of them, they left their houses and they try to be like a refugee in another country. It's something very hard. Some of them even they go to another place and they don't know what will happen to their houses. There are a lot of thieves, there are a lot of house when they might find. So it's a bad situation anyhow.
Yeah, it sounds
Our part,
proven.
okay, so is it now?
There's we have heard you until now, just now, like for I don't know, maybe 1 minute. There's like a disturbing sound while you talk that we have heard most of it.
So
Just the last 1 minute.
okay, so no problem. Just you hear me now? Can I carry on?
We hear you, but the sound is there. Let's hear. Go on. Okay.
Okay. So in the point I'm speaking about speaking about
No, no, Mr. Bashir, we cannot hear you. It's no, it's really we cannot hear you. It covers your sound. Uh, Try to
okay.
sign out and to come in again. In the meantime, and I will throw a
Sure,
question. Yeah,
sure, I
I
will
mean,
do
because
so.
it's important for us and we fully understand uh, the situation you are in. Really, I'm so glad and really grateful that you are here despite what's going on in Sudan. So don't worry, we understand, but let's not make this connection a problem, so that your voice will not be heard. No, we try really until we cannot. So sign out and then sign in again. Maybe there's
Sure,
a
sure, I
different.
will do it.
All right.
Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
Uh, yeah. Mr. Yusuf, this will be, I think, the final question. What do you expect from, if you can comment on two things? There's an analysis that the war, what's happening in Sudan is right now a war between two superpowers, and Sudan is just used, it's a proxy war. And what's your take on that? Secondly, what do you expect from your African brothers and sisters and from African leaders as well? Yeah, please.
Uh, we're calling other Sudanese our problem to be solved. We don't want to interfere. from any international community to involve in Sudanese problem. We're calling for our Sudanese to solve it inside our house Sudanese, because it is a Sudanese problem, should be solved in the house of Sudan, inside Sudan. Also, we welcome our brothers, and always they're there for us, especially IGAD and African Union. Always there is initiative, they take initiative immediately, and even the fourth, I think the second or the phase there, when the war will start between the two superior power, there's IGAD, they want to come with the president of Djibouti, they want to come to Sudan, but unfortunately, there is no any facilities of airplane because the airport was being out of service. We call them, please, don't delay, take initiative quick. They have to put pressure for the two command of leaders to stop the war and to sit on the table, because all of them are Sudanese, to solve the problem out of Sudan. Whenever the war solve the problem, if you look at Sudanese, we have a history of war. Southern Sudan is not being solved by the gun. It's being solved by the peace agreement on the table. We sit on the table to talk. Therefore, it's not being solved by the gun. We have been fighting for many years. Bashir has been fighting. And Bashir, who is created the command of Janjaweed Hemeti, was being support and it's being created by the Bashir to kill the civilians in Darfur. It's still the problem is being solved by the through the peace agreement. There is no war will solve the problem. The loser is the country. The loser is the nation. We need African brothers, African leaders, immediately to take a serious steps to put hard pressure on the two command with the international community to stop the war in Sudan. At least the civilians, as my colleague, he mentioned that the civilian, at least they can have access to the food. They can have access to humanitarian access. As he mentioned, unbelievable. As I mentioned to you, when the country is collapsed, they don't have even security food for 1 day. Do you believe it? Country used to be number 4 in Africa. They used to be number 4 in Africa. Used to be the first country in Africa. They don't have national security for one food. What about the other medicines? What about the other issue? What about the other problems? People, they depend for their life day by day. As I mentioned, when the war starts, nobody knows about it. You walk in the morning, you go into your work. Suddenly you find the gun on your head. Whoa, what's going on? Everybody asks somebody. So some people believe me. Up to now, I can tell you, maybe they can eat 1 meal a day. Some of them, they don't eat. Some people, up to now, the kids are sleeping underneath the bed. And they need the bed from the bombs. So my concern is, I will urge international community and our brothers Africans to come together to end the war in Sudan.
But you just said that you don't want anyone to intervene, in to make peace now in Sudan, to bring peace. But you, at the same time, you are also calling for
through the African mediation. We need through the Africans.
Can we agree something like what if you have followed about the war in the northern part of Ethiopia, something like that is what you are looking for, the mediation?
Yeah, that's why we know that the IGAD, that's African SADC, the IGAD has, I think, playing a role even in the peace agreement in Juba, which is initiated by the EU from the IGAD from the EU, which was playing the big role to stop the war in Darfur through the peace agreement in Juba. So we trust, we Africans, we trust our brothers in Africa to come together to put pressure to stop the war in Sudan, especially Southern Sudan. I think Southern Sudan has good relations with the two leaders, with the two commands, Hemeti and Burhan, because they used to be all of them. They used to have a war. They in Southern Sudan where the war, all of them they are fighting each other, so they know each other. And even that peace agreement for Darfur, which was being held by the in Sudan, in Southern Sudan, in Juba. So I believe and I trust the war will never take long. It will stop.
That's our hope too, really, that the people of Sudan do not deserve this. Yeah, we know Sudan as a welcoming community, welcoming people. There are a lot of African brothers and sisters who live there as well from neighboring countries. And, for the people's sake, that may peace prevail in Sudan. Now, we were waiting for our other guest, okay, to join us for Mr. Bashir, but I just got a message from him that there's a heavy shooting where he is right now in Khartoum.
And there is a peace. You remember, there is a peace agreement. Supposed to be 74 hours.
Yeah, but there is a shooting. That's what he's saying. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying. No one will stop. No one will keep it. No one. Each one is blaming each other. When each one they get opportunities on the other will attack him. They don't care about the civilians. They don't care because Al-Bashir and Janjaweed and even the army, they killed 10,000 people in Darfur. So in 2013, was a peace agreement, peace revolution. The people were protesting peacefully for demand for the rights, which I think was being about 300 people was being killed by the security. No one take care. If you look at 2019, when the people are gathering at the headquarters, over 2,000 people have been killed. It's normal. To kill somebody by the national army or the two superior command, to kill civilians is normal. No one will question you. No one will question you. It's normal. So hoping that I pray for our country to be safe. I pray for all our peoples in Sudan to be safe. God bless them. And my last question is for our brothers in Africa. Please, God, EU will take initiative and to take very serious steps to put pressure on the two commands to stop the war, and they come to the peace agreement.
So hopefully,
to end the war in Sudan.
Yeah. Hopefully they're hearing and hopefully the initiative that started by IGAD will have, a result. But unfortunately, Mr. Bashir cannot join us, for the final word here, because I really wanted him to tell us what is needed. If we can do something, gather a support system within our African brothers and sisters community, what can we do? Because he has this organization, a charity organization. He knows exactly what is needed. But he couldn't, as we speak here. This is really a live thing, for real, because Mr. Yusuf told us now that there's a 72 hours truce that was supposed to, there shouldn't be any shooting right now.
Yeah, it started today. Yeah, 72 hours is starting.
However,
72 hours is starting from at night, yeah.
However, our brother who were just here with us a few minutes ago, Mr. Bashir, is telling us, I just received the text, saying there's a hard fight now with plane. I have to hide down. There are heavy shooting. So he cannot join us. This is the situation in Sudan. Really, prayers
I feel sorry for my country.
yeah, really prayers for Sudan. And I mean, anyone, our viewers here, anyone, you also, Mr. Yusuf, if we can do anything, if we can mobilize anything, if I like using this platform, or by inviting people, pulling people together and do something for our sisters and brothers in Sudan, I really will be happy to do it. And I promise I will give a hand. Yeah, that's it. Really sad situation.
Appreciate from your platform, please, as activists all over, of course, whatever you can do in your capacity
Yeah,
for collective issue. We are African, we are one body. You feel the pain, the others will feel the pain. So do whatever you can do. Just please, I do trust that at least the war should be ended in Sudan, and that responsibility of each and African citizens. No matter whatever, who die in Darfur, who die in Sudan, who die in Uganda, is African. It's a loss
exactly.
for Africa. It's a
Exactly.
loss for Africa. It's a loss for Africa. It's a loss for Africa. We have to African to move forward. As we African, we have to stop killing of each other for nothing. And I'm urging now for African AU, we need the AU. They have to look after the nation. They have to be competitive and efficient leaders. They look at Asia. African, we are rich. We are not poor. We are rich. Do you think how many years? 3 years or 4 years? 53 African countries. The one sitting in front of China is lecturing them. They're seeking for support. They're seeking for support. Come on, our leaders. Come on, our leaders. Africa is rich.
Yeah.
Give African people opportunity to choose who is going to lose there. Who is going to have to give them opportunities. And we are South Africans. I do believe South African is going to be our role models. Always I say that South Africa is our role model in Africa. We has a big role to play to bring democracy in those countries who doesn't have a democracy, who has been controlled by the army. But how can you want me to solve your problem? And this I'll give you an example. I'm sorry I'm taking long, but you cannot, for Southern Sudan, also they have the same problem. War, they're fighting between them. Up to now, they're not solving the problem out. Yes, I know, I believe that they're going to solve. You have the same problem, I have it. How can you don't fix the problem in your house, you're going to fix my problem? Now, I'm saying I believe that. But I mentioned many African leaders that dictatorship, that forcing the citizens, and they are being member of African Union. They are being a member of African Union. How do you expect? I'm calling for our leaders. They need to fix their house. If you want to be as a democracy, we believe as a democracy is a good for African to solve the problem. So believe on that. So if any leader of any country is not being elected democratically, you are not going to be part of AU. That should be implemented. They should be implemented. Because, from that basic, you'd be isolated. And support that country until they get democracy to come back to the AU path. But you cannot. You are a killer. You are abusive. You are a dictatorship. You are still member of AU. It doesn't sound nice. It doesn't sound nice. How can South African is a role model to sit with those dictatorship and abusive to their nation? It doesn't sound to me nice. And that's my hopes. My hope. We're gonna have peace in Africa. We're gonna have a B1 unity in Africa. We're gonna have progress. We are going to love each other. And it comes, if you look, the literacy in Africa is high. If you look many years ago, the literacy is high in Africa now. We believe that we're going to be one unity. We're calling for the unity of Africa. Why not? Why not we are not be one unity? We have all the factors that came us to be one unity. Why not? Why not? Why not we have one economy? Why not we have one currency? Why not we have one road, railway to control of us from here to Sudan, all over? Why not? We are Africans. You, the factors that differentiate them more than come them together. They become one unit. Asians are one unit. Why we are an Africa? Why we are hate each other? Why always fighting? Why always they come? You can feed me, man. Come on. We are rich. We don't need that international to feed me. I can go in my home or my area, wherever I can sit. I can have my own food and make my own food for the day. But the problem is our leaders. The one who sit on the top, the one who solve our problem only with the guns. Yeah. The one who abuses us. And I'm hoping that the next time when you host me, I'm hoping that Sudan is going to be the better. It's come to the international community and you hear good news about Sudan.
It's our hope too, Mr. Yusuf. Please, my sisters and brothers, African sisters and brothers, wherever you are, what's happening in Sudan is our business as well. It's not only the international media or the Western media business, it's our business, especially people in the greater Horn of Africa. You really have to, what happens in Sudan is also affects what happens in Ethiopia, what happens in Kenya, what happens in Uganda, what happens in South Sudan. So we all are interconnected. So we should be there for our sisters and brothers, and whatever profession we have, we can contribute in one way or the other. Prayers to the people of Sudan. And thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf, for being with us. And hopefully we will meet again, as you said. Hopefully that time Sudan will be at peace. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for concerning about Sudanese issue.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.